cleared, don't expect it. Copy, and endeavor close and lock your visors.
Okay, copy, and CR. Two members close and lock your visors. Indicate O2 flow. Gotta go for 5, 6, and no.
Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. 3, 2, 1, 0.
We have an early start tomorrow. You'll be able to lie in to sufficient time for a 6:30 breakfast, 6:30 prompt. We have to get badged in at NASA. That can take anything from 2 minutes to 90 minutes.
It looks like any other school outing, but this is going to be the trip of a lifetime. Something these school children and their teachers will never forget. Eight students from Wales, along with 7 from Scotland and England, have won a science competition. The prize is a VIP tour of the American space program. At the Astronauts Hall of Fame near the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, they're about to experience something of what it feels like to be an astronaut. This is a space shuttle simulator.
How was that? It's alright actually. I was there, it wasn't that bad. Yeah. Quite sick actually.
Over here we have Apollo 14. The heat shield is at the bottom, and it was burning away on re-entry when they were coming back, and a piece of it flew off and hit their window, and it stuck there, and it started melting. And there wasn't anything they could do about it but just watch it and hope that it burnt out, which it did. So they made it back nice and safe.
It is a simulator based on a trainer that was used during the Mercury program. It's a cage inside a cage inside a cage with the astronaut sitting all the way in the middle. It had 2 joysticks, like on a video game, and what they would have to do is bring it under control. That being said, who would like to be the first victim, I mean volunteer?
Not unlike an airplane, a spacecraft can control its pitch, which is kind of the up-down motion if you're looking forward. It can control the roll, and then something called yaw, which is kind of the third axis, if you will.
Now you should not get sick and you should not get dizzy on it. I'm not going to say that you won't, but you shouldn't.
In fact, Neil Armstrong, the first human being to set foot on the moon, he was docked, his Gemini spacecraft, to another spacecraft to practice docking maneuvers. And due to a stuck jet, the 2 spacecraft started tumbling together. The decision was made, we have to undock. Well, when they undocked, his spacecraft started tumbling at an incredible rotation speed. His skills in being able to correct pitch, yaw, and roll helped pull that spacecraft out, save not only, the mission, but very much probably the lives of himself and his fellow astronaut.
I'm the urban spaceman, baby. I've got speed. I've got everything I need. I'm the urban spaceman, baby. I can fly. I'm a supersonic guy. I don't need pleasure. I don't feel pain. If you were to knock me down, I'd just get up again.
To win a place on this tour, students had to devise projects involving either microgravity or sustaining human life on Mars. The competition was judged by NASA scientists.
We didn't expect to win because we had short notice to do it because our teacher only informed us 2 weeks before the deadline, so when we did win it was really good.
We didn't actually realise it was us. We heard that 2 girls had won. And so I sat there, who is it? Who's looking around, completely dumbstruck.
Ecstatic. I'm still known for that grin I had on my face when we finally won, and I think it's going to haunt me for the rest of this trip.
What is this trip giving you that you've not experienced before?
Well, I've never been on a plane. And the furthest I've been in distance is probably Leeds. So
I'm most looking forward to seeing the shuttle take off for a day launch because I've seen a night launch already, but a day launch is going to be really good.
Probably seen the space shuttle launch, I think.
yeah,
I've never seen the space shuttle launch before, so I'm really looking forward to it.
it's on my birthday too. So.
Yeah.
This is where it all started for America here 50 years ago. And everything out here was very crude. They had no service towers, so they just made scaffolding.
The launch site of early manned spaceflight at Cape Canaveral is today one of the biggest rocket parks in the world.
Dr. Debus and Werner von Braun would be up there on the lighthouse with binoculars and a communication set to whoever they might have out here in the perimeter area.
The Rocket Museum shows tragedy as well as triumph. The launch pad of Apollo 1 is today a memorial to those who died.
Unfortunately, when the fire started inside the capsule, pure oxygen, there's not much they could do. They were suffocated. And from that point on, the families requested that the Apollo be called Apollo 1, and it was. From that day on, it's known as Apollo 1. And we lost astronauts, Chaffee, Grissom, and White.
Enthusiastically get a big smile.
I think it was really amazing. It brought into perspective what the rockets were actually like to send into space. I learned a lot about how technology has changed through the years. Computers were massive in the park, but to think of the technologies these days is really incredible.
I think the most important thing about coming on a trip like this is to see a country where science and engineering is a can-do thing, that everybody's very positive, very enthusiastic about science. Tomorrow is a better place to the Americans, and so often in Britain we tend to think negatively of science and engineering, and therefore pupils in general need that sort of reinforcement that in fact it is a benefit to mankind rather than a hazard.
Well, most people think of it as people in white coats just stuck up in a laboratory, but it is more than that. It's like, you know, the world around us there's a lot of science in it, and I think that it should be like science in the classroom should be related to the outside world as well.
There's a strong Welsh involvement in this tour, which has been organised by the Penarth-based International Space School Educational Trust, ISSET. The aim is to enthuse young people through contact with the space programme. Wales leads the world in terms of space education.
ISSET is an incredible organisation. The International Space School Educational Trust is centred in